Conservation, the podcast of the Wildlife Trust for Beds, Cams and Northants. My name is Sophie Baker and I'm the editor of our members magazine Local Wildlife and host of the podcast. For this episode, I travelled to lovely Luton to chat to my colleague Matt Sutcliffe about the fantastic work we're doing to help communities, and especially young people, get in touch with their green spaces and each other through events and activities with wildlife. It's challenging and rewarding work, especially in Luton, one of the most urban areas in our patch. But with the help of other community organisations, dedicated volunteers and staff members, schools and colleges, and thanks to funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, we're making great inroads with our Wilder Luton project. If you think this work is as valuable as we do, you can help your own communities get a little bit wilder by volunteering with the Trust or setting up your own activities with our advice and support. And you can find out more about that on our website at wildlifebcn.org/podcast. But for now, over to Luton. So we're here in Luton, and what's the park called?
Wardown Park.
Wardown Park, which is
the flagship park of Luton, really. So it's very central. We're not actually in town, but it's probably the most central park in Luton and probably the most well-known park in Luton.
It's nice, and I can see they've grown some grass in this section. We're in the Arboretum.
Yeah, so this is 5 years old, I think. Not too old, this section. It's been fenced off, like you say. There's some specimen trees that we'll walk around and have a look at, but they've definitely left this space on purpose for wildflowers, which is nice. There's a nice little mix in there, and we've got the copse of trees in the middle that's left to grow long, so there's a little bit for wildlife here, which is why this spot makes a good location for our activities and clubs.
Yes, and that's what we're here to sort of, well, in the background people are arriving in this summer holiday session.
Yes, so we called it imaginatively the Luton Nature Explorers, this or summer club. Which kind of says what it is, really. So yeah, it's a second of 2 days, 4 sessions. So we've got this morning and this afternoon. And yeah, we've got lots of 3 to 10-year-olds along with their parents to explore this space, learn a bit about nature. With my colleague Ava and Catherine, our volunteer. So I am Matt Sutcliffe, and my job title is Community and Education Manager for Bedfordshire.
And what does that mean you actually do on a day-to-day?
Well, you know, educate and work with communities, obviously. No, it's a varied job. I mean, essentially, our work is divided that way. We do quite a lot in schools. So my job as manager, I guess, would be to connect with those schools, meet the right person, maybe set up a first meeting. We often talk about anything they can do in their grounds for nature. We might offer an assembly for free, and then we can elaborate on the workshops that we offer, and at that point a colleague will come in and talk more about that and possibly deliver it. But education sort of runs through all our work, doesn't it, really? So, you know, a walk's educational, but we do have a school programme based around the Chalk Hills. And it's hard to offer site visits in Bedfordshire because we don't have an education centre. We have places like this where people are willing for us to explore, and we've got parking and toilets here at Wardown Park, so it's great. But yeah, a lot of our reserves don't have a place where we could safely take a group of students for more than an hour or two without them, needing to go into school to use the facilities, shall we say. So I do a lot of the setting up of programmes and then hand over to colleagues that are far more able and knowledgeable in making it exciting for kids than I am. I probably do more stuff on the community side in terms of getting people involved in sites. So I mean, our reserves team take volunteers out every week, don't they, as you know? And that's community engagement as far as I'm concerned. You're taking people, a lot of those people that come out not only love serving nature, is that the right word? Saving, helping nature, shall we say, managing our sites, but for them I'm sure it's a social thing as well. So that's kind of what we do in our team, but on a more regular basis with adults. So I try and replicate that with different groups in Luton. So because my background is quite practical, so I often do things like tree planting, hedge laying, scrub bashing, but with bespoke groups that haven't sort of done that before, as opposed to the sort of general conservation retired crowd that would come to our reserves tasks. So yesterday I emailed the local charity here called Signposts that works with homeless people, and they'd come out with us before and done things. So I wouldn't expect the reserves team to do that. That would be something we would do and put on a bespoke activity for them. And it might be a college. We do a lot of work with Sutcliffe Baptist Church. So various groups, and get them outside and get them involved in managing the reserve. But then there's walks as well. We run a walk programme.
So really getting people involved in their own community. That's the thing, isn't it? The things that are on their doorstep.
Well, this is a communal space, isn't it? This is community. I mean, this is what I love about parks, Wardown Park especially. If you spend much time here today, you'll see different groups coming together. I was here at an event 2 weekends ago, and there was a whole gang of people having a barbecue. You know, it looked like it was someone's birthday. So people come to parks to share those events, and it's a communal thing, and I think that's why they're so important. Absolutely. Community centres are still a thing, aren't they? Thankfully, but youth clubs are not such a thing anymore. Where do people go to meet? Can't all just sit inside your house in your room, can you? You want people to get out. So parks, Zoom. So parks and green spaces are that. So if we can sort of make that more attractive somehow by giving people a reason to go to a park, not necessarily the group behind us, but I know the clubs that are run here in this Arboretum have spawned friendships and a community of their own, so that although they've come to the park through nature, and there's these are people that generally maybe quite new to town or maybe recently become parents and felt a little bit isolated, and then they've gone on and met a couple of other parents during our sessions, and then they've met up for coffee later in the week, and they've created their own community that way.
So nature is as an enabler, whether they know it or not.
Enabler sounds like far too medical to
me. No, it does.
I know what you mean.
It does. It sounds a bit negative, doesn't it? Yeah. So you run lots of events here?
We have regular clubs here at Wardown. Our project did start, our work in Luton, when that came about. It was suggested to us by the council and the Friends of Bradgers Hill that we base ourselves at Bradgers Hill, which is North Luton, and there's the community hub there where we rent an office space. And that's where we centred a lot of our engagement work on that site and in that community space in the garden there. But quite quickly, we realised that if you want to reach more people, I guess, and a wider audience, you need to sort of branch out and try other places. So Wardown Park, I think probably within 6 months or a year of us being back in Luton, became our next destination, shall we say. And we ran regular clubs, or we have been running regular clubs here every fortnight ever since, really, for kids. So this is just a part of that programme, what you see today.
That's great. And what is the project?
The project's called Wilder Luton, which is a year in now. Last September it started, and it picks up from.
Quickly. I know. It's gone really quickly, hasn't it?
I know. I'm already starting to think what we're going to do this summer of the year. I need to start thinking what will happen after Wilder Luton. As such is the way. But it builds up from Wilder Futures, which was the first 3-year project where the lottery funded us for in Luton, which paid for my role as community education officer in the county, really, because it was a nice chunk of money from the Heritage Lottery, and it enabled the trust to do more community engagement work in not just Luton but in Bedfordshire as a whole, I guess, because it created my role, and I'll be forever grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the aims of the project are to really engage with young people, is that right, in the Luton area?
The Wilder Luton, yeah. So this project, say, to go back to the lottery and ask for another chunk of money, I think it reflects well on how Wilder Futures was successful. But you can't just go back and say, right, we're going to carry on doing the same as what we've done before. They're always looking for you to be engaging new audiences, doing different things. So Wilder Luton has got a definite focus on secondary age young people, or emerging adults is a term that I've been hearing recently. So
that's an interesting term.
Up to 25, 30. Because young people doesn't stop at 18, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. No. And because brain development doesn't stop then either. I mean,
no.
Even just on a sort of biological level, you're still a young person, aren't you? Quite.
Well, exactly. I'm 40-something, and I'm still like to think,
Well, same. But I like emerging adult, actually. It's because it is a process and something that you go through. I mean, I don't know, that seems like a good thing.
Yeah, we went to workshops, some of us from the trust that work in community and ed, and it was all about that concept of emerging adults, and it got you to reflect on your own past. and what you were doing at 16 to 21 and how you felt at those different stages. And it made me realise I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. No. So, you know, there's us now going into schools or meeting young people and saying, oh, do you want to, you know, isn't conservation great, or nature, do you want to get involved, which is great, and some people respond to that, but the average teenager, as I'm sure you might be the same, is going, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Someone's telling me about exams, I've got this going on, and all my, you know, there's all these other things going on in your life. So it was interesting to reflect on that and realise that part of people's lives is really important to, you know, maybe drop in some of these nuggets of interest in nature and conservation, and, you know, accept you're not going to necessarily convert anyone, or don't necessarily go off and become a ranger by the age of 19 or 20, but it's important to have those conversations and open people's minds up at that age. And because a lot of what we do is, like today, is focused at primary age, and it's lovely. The sessions today are fully sold out, so there's lots of interest, and it's great to get kids when they're young and excite them about nature. But I do feel that needs to carry on throughout education, really.
It can't stop, can it?
No.
But when you're, I guess, in that emerging adult phase as well, like the pressures of everything else are building up around you, aren't they? So you've got your educational pressures and the kind of social pressures and lots of things.
First loves and all that sort of stuff. I mean, life gets a bit more interesting, doesn't it? So,
because it's easy to think that teenagers have got loads of time, you know, but actually not really when it's around all of the other stuff they have to do.
Especially nowadays, I think the pressure they have at school to do well and figure out what's coming next, go to uni, you know, I know that's been happening for decades, but it does feel there's more pressure on young people nowadays. Maybe that's because of social media and things being online as well. So like you say, to try and eke out a bit of time to then enjoy nature or even volunteer with us is quite a big ask, really. But if you can present it in a way, or offer something in a way that then creates that space and offers a bit of thinking space and a bit of time for yourself to, you know, not forget, but sort of put all that aside, all the stresses of school and stuff, such, you know, well-being, I guess would be the phrase we'd use, then that's a good thing, isn't it? So not only are you sort of talking about nature and getting people out into nature, but it's actually helping them cope with all those stresses that might be coming up at that age as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what sort of events do you do for that age group? How are you actually reaching them? Trying to. I say it's not an easy task, and I'm sure anyone across the trust movement would say it is a trickier audience for things we've just talked about. But like putting on an event like today and just saying, we're going to be in the park, we're going to do some fun stuff, come along, is not necessarily going to work. And, you know, it's really hard just, you know, unless you've got some amazing social media channels with loads of followers to get that age group. So we tend to focus it on colleges, schools, sixth form, and we've had some quite good successes. Barnfield College, which is not too far from here. I think I drove past it on the way here.
You would have seen the big building. They've had some lovely landscaping done recently, actually. So we're hoping one day to get in with some of the students and work on a bit of their grounds. But at the moment, they come to us. One of the hills that we help the council manage and send students out. We've done a bit of scrub work with them, and then walked up the hill, enjoyed the views. We've done that 3 times now, and that we should carry on in autumn. So that's the start of a good partnership. And the sixth form college, which is literally at the bottom of Bradgers Hill. So in Luton, a lot of schools, when they get to sixth form, then all filter into that. So there's thousands of kids there, 16 to 18-year-olds. And it's taken time. That's just down the road from where we're based, and we've been talking to them on and off for 3 years. But this year felt like we've actually really translated that into some constructive activities. We've had the biology students up on the hill studying. We've also had 3 work experience students come out to us. And they're happy to display on their screens that they have going to school all the work and the out-school activities that we do, which is quite nice. So there's something called Youth Rangers, which a lot of listeners might have heard of. That's a sort of traditional way that the trust would engage with young people.
Oh right, so is that kind of getting them to do practical hands-on sort of conservation tasks?
Yeah, and them coming to us. So we don't necessarily advertise in a school, but people self-refer, I guess, or parents might say, well, that sounds good, do you want to come along to that? And that's for 12 to 17-year-olds, and our Youth Rangers operates across Bedfordshire, really, the South Bedfordshire and Luton. But I'm hoping that within the next 2 years we can set up a group specific to Luton, because the numbers are increasing, and it sounds a bit exclusive to Luton, doesn't it, really? But I think it is quite a unique place, like any unitary authority. People have a sense of place and a sense of pride in their town, I guess. And there's so many sites that could be worked on here. I think we could run a monthly session for that age group in Luton on itself. But at the moment, we do go out to our sites like Blowsdowns and Cooper's Hill and other places outside of the, in the south of the county, really.
So I guess they get to do the kind of physical tasks like scrub cutting and hay raking, and is that right?
Yeah, definitely. The next one in October will be scrub cutting at Blows. What have we just done? Just last week we were putting bracken at Cooper's Hill and Ampthill. So yeah, some quite hands-on management of sites, but with a bit of other interesting stuff thrown in. I mean, not that work isn't interesting, I love it, and I think things like bracken pulling, for example, although it's just, you could spend hours just doing the same thing, but you actually see what the result of what you've done, and I think young people, or people in general, respond well to that. So we took this patch at Cooper's Hill, which we've worked on for 2 years now, and it was nice just to clear it all back and see the heather in flower, and I think they get that kind of instant response to what they've achieved.
Yeah.
But back in April, Youth Rangers, we did some willow weaving, and we made, well, I say we, Ava that's here today, made bird feeders out of willow with our Youth Rangers, just so it's not all work-based, basically.
Yeah. And what have you found so far that really captures that age group's imagination? I mean, I suppose it's hard to say that from a kind of whole of an age group, age range, because everyone's different.
Speak for the entire youth of the country.
Can you? Yes.
Yes.
But what is it that really captures them and makes a difference to them at that age?
I think just being out and with other people. I reckon sometimes when parents or the kids look at the programme, they look more at the date that works for them and who's going to be there, and the activity is almost, I'll just give that a go, whatever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it's more about being outside, being with other people that might be similar-minded in the sense that they'd rather be, in a quiet space. We tend to attract a mixed crowd, but generally quite quiet people that aren't necessarily going to want to run around a football pitch on a Saturday morning with 11 other people, however many people there are on a football team.
10 other people.
Something like that. They'd rather spend their time with maybe 7 or 8 other people on a nature reserve, and whether they get to pull bracken or cut scrub down, I think is almost secondary.
Yeah.
However, having said that, I do think a fire and some toasted marshmallows always goes down pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
that's normally a winner for everyone.
I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. But yeah, do you see those connections building then? It must be quite rewarding if you're kind of, seeing connections building between those people.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there's one young lady that is quiet and doesn't talk. I mean, she's not the only one. We've got a few people that are sort of shy, I guess. But then there's 2 that get on particularly well. So it's really nice when you see them having a good old chat. And like I say, we're just walking around the reserve. We might have done a bit of work, and then they're chatting away like old mates. But they might only see each other once every 2 or 3 months, depending on what sessions they've turned up for. So that's quite nice to see, because I know that both of them are quite shy generally.
Yeah.
They just get on.
Yeah. I feel like it's the sort of thing that I would have liked when I was that age, just because it's almost like the nature side of it for that age range, like you were saying, is secondary in a way. It's a sort of enabler, but... Yeah.
And you've got to find what that enabler is for your own self, I guess.
Yeah, but just having a way to just enjoy nature and being in nature, rather than it always be focused on finding out about nature. I find like a lot of nature activities, especially for young children, as a parent of a young child, is all about like the life cycle of a ladybird.
Yeah,
and,
educational
stuff, which is great. Don't get me wrong, and it's fascinating. But when you get to sort of teenage level, they have so much of that.
Yes, they want to switch off a bit, maybe.
They want to switch off from that and actually just giving them the tools to know that nature is something they can just be in. Yeah. And with.
Yeah. And it's not got to be a lesson, like you say, and I think that's the way we try and approach it. Although I love, and that's why we do our job, I love sharing what we know. But sometimes on a walk, if you are just banging on about this rare species, that rare species, you can see people switching off and they're going, do you know what, I just want to sit here for a bit and enjoy that view. Thanks very much.
The view's lovely, and the waving grass, and you know, yeah, don't mind what species it is. It's waving lovely in the wind.
Yeah, it's colourful. But and also I was just going to make a point about the work. I'm sure this is why I've ended up doing a lot of this sort of thing myself, is I think conservation is great for switching off, because the tasks are often repetitive. They often don't require a huge amount of brain power. I'm talking about, you know, when you are pulling bracken or pulling ragwort, whatever it might be. But you're doing something constructive, and you can get into that headspace where you're just out there. You haven't got to think about the worries that are going on because you're focusing on something, but you haven't got to overthink either. And it's a nice place to find yourself, I think.
How did you get into this job then? What's your background?
Don't know. But I'm judging you could ask that. Pretty much that. I don't know really. I came out of uni like a lot of people. I travelled a lot and saw some really nice parts of the world, and realised how much I loved being in, I don't know, the beaches of Fiji and Grand Canyon, all these exotic places, and got back home and realised, actually, well, maybe this country's got some nice places as well. Perhaps I should explore them a bit.
Yeah.
And graduated with... I had a bit of a clue by then that I didn't want to work indoors. I tried an office job and didn't really like it. I've done a bit of gardening, a bit of landscaping, and enjoyed it. So I volunteered for BTCV, that are now TCV, Trust of Conservation Volunteers, down in Devon, explored Devon, which is obviously a beautiful part of this country. And volunteered for a few months, just got trained up in leading volunteers. Just loved it, yeah. So that was 20 years ago now, and that's pretty much what I've been doing in 3 or 4 different jobs for 20 years now, taking people outside. Sometimes it's been gardening and landscaping, but now with the Trust it's more conservation again, which is where my heart's really at. So I guess when this job came up 3.5 years ago now, and it was for the Trust, and obviously knew I was self-employed at one point, and I'd done some contracting work for the Trust, obviously knew who you guys were, and then it was in Luton. I don't know, it was just one of those jobs. I thought, that's like everything I've ever done in one job and on the doorstep. I think I should go for that.
Wow, it's a good job you did.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good job you did, but it's, Luton has a reputation, doesn't it, sort of nationwide, as being somewhere not very pretty, actually, I think. And Bedfordshire as a whole, actually, has quite a sort of bland reputation.
Yeah.
You wouldn't come here on holiday, like you would Derbyshire even, or the Peak Districts or something,
no.
Districts, or Yorkshire even,
Went for a week in Bedfordshire, it was great.
Yeah, it's not something that you would do, but I think it's not well deserved, actually, because I think, there are some really beautiful spaces. I've been up Badger's Hill, and it's stunning up there. Yeah,
and it's right on the doorstep of the town. And it's part of the Chilterns. So when people think of the Chilterns, they probably think of Oxford and sort of down, where it runs towards London. They don't necessarily think that it's in Bedfordshire so much. So we're at the sort of extreme end of the Chilterns, but I'd say Bradgers and Galley and Warden Hills that are on the north part of Luton are amazing, and then that leads into Pegston, which is one of our reserves, which is pretty much in Hitchin, and that's just one of the best views. It's certainly the best view in the county, as far as I'm concerned, at the top of Pegston. And when I travel, so you come back home and I thought, I don't want to live in Bedfordshire. I've been around the world. I've been to Devon. I want to live somewhere more exciting. But more time I've spent here, and Hertfordshire to a degree, you find all these gems, and you realise there's a lot of it on your doorstep, which you just got to take the time to find out about, haven't you, really? And that's the thing. I think people don't take that time to learn, and that's the same with any reputation. Like a town like Luton, it's got maybe a perception that people have. It's all based on what they've heard on the news, or one thing that a friend told them. No one's ever necessarily come here and gone, do you know what, I'm actually going to look at those hills and those parks and see if they're any good. Because if they did, they'd go, they'd go, wow, this is Luton, This is what most people do. So this is really nice, and it's right, often a 10-minute walk from someone's house to get up those hills. It's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you find that with the young people that you take up there? Is it a surprise for them?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. Sorry, that was supposed to be more enthusiastic here, but it is. But it's with young people, you don't really get that real kind of like expression of do you sometimes, or certain young people.
Yeah, you don't get
it's well hidden. But I've not. I don't think I've taken anyone up to the top of Bradgers or Galley without there being some reaction. Like I say, it might not be an enthusiastic, wow, this is amazing. You can definitely see like, I don't know, people's shoulders relax, or maybe they just sit down for a minute, or maybe they just go a bit quiet, stop chatting to their mates and go, oh, crikey.
Yeah.
You know, because like any place, I think, I don't know, we've not been everywhere, obviously, but you say Luton Luton town centre isn't the most attractive town centre in the world. But when you go up a hill and look across the town, it's so green, you know. There's so many big green spaces, there's so many trees, and I think we often just have a negative point of view when we're walking around our daily business. We might not be looking up, or people are looking at their phones. You don't get that chance to really look out and see how green, how many trees there are in this county, this country, really. You know, I'd like more of them, obviously. But,
it'd be nice to have
it's not
more.
terrible.
No, absolutely. But especially, I mean, even just sitting in this park with all these huge, mature trees around, I mean, they are ginormous trees. You don't get that everywhere, you know, you don't.
No.
It's not to be taken for granted, I suppose, is what I'm saying. You know, it's nice to appreciate what you do have.
And I guess if you walk through every day, you might, you do start taking things for granted, but you just got to stop and give yourself time, haven't you? I don't know if anyone can hear this. There's a young lady, she's being an owl, I think, which is quite cool.
Being an owl, she's going woo woo. Yeah.
I know there's an owl-themed activity today.
Ah, okay, yeah. She's wearing a mask as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
Here's a little aside, just for you. One reason our 3 counties are a special place for wildlife. BCN Beauties.
Hello, my name is Ian Webb and I'm a Conservation Engagement Officer for the Wildlife Trust for Beds, Cowes and Northants. Glowworms are a fascinating species of beetle that, in the height of summer, can be found glowing across many of our grassland reserves, such as Fulbourn Fen in Cambridgeshire, as the females wave their green glowing abdomens around to attract a mate. Found throughout the rest of the year as larvae, they live under rocks on grassland where they are voracious predators of snails. They inject their prey with toxic bites, and then can often be found riding around on the unfortunate snail's shell while the toxins get to work, keeping themselves away from the defensive sticky mucus that the snail produces during the process. Fascinatingly, the larvae and the eggs are also capable of emitting light, but you're most likely to see the wingless females' lights as they cling to plant stems on warm summer evenings in June and July. It might not be quite the same as the swarms of flying fireflies you see in the movies, but it's all the more interesting for it being so close to home and so little known about. Looking after our grassland reserves is vital to those amazing beetles' ability to thrive in our area, and we take care of these spaces for a huge range of species by grazing, scrub clearing and regular monitoring to ensure our management is working. We run guided events in the summer months to see these fascinating beetles in full glow, so do check our website for more information.
Obviously, this is a funded project, Wilder Luton, going back to that. It's a funded project for a limited amount of time, isn't it? Or the funding is for a limited amount of time. That's how these things work.
Sadly.
Sadly. What are your hopes of the project? Where do you think it's at now, and where do you hope it'll be by the time the funding comes to an end?
Obviously, the idea is to sustain our work. Anything we do, like you've talked about wilder communities. I think we've done that to a degree, where we've actually worked more with communities and other organisations and helped create little pockets of activity that would, go on whether we were here or not. And we need to do more of that in this project, I think, because we don't want to, be done in 2 years and money run out. I don't think we'll stop doing stuff in Luton, but obviously without that chunk of money it becomes harder. There's some great stuff happening here anyway, so I think we've added value to stuff that's already here whilst we're here. But what I really want to focus on, and with the money and the young people, is training, I think. And I want to build up some, we're already doing it, some proper programmes that will then continue, and we could tap into maybe other pots of money or sustain them in another way. So youth rangers that I mentioned earlier, I'd like to set up a regular activity for 18 to 25 year olds, so like in Northants where we have nature girls, that sort of thing, which we could either sustain by people paying to come along, or we could find another pot of money, but it's like a bespoke thing that will carry on whether we're here with the lottery money or not. And there is growing interest in that, and we're building up the right partnerships to reach those young people that would take part. And we've also got our trainees. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but a big part of Wilder Luton is traineeships. So we've got 2 young people that will start in September the 8th. So what's that, 2 or 3 weeks away?
Yeah, not far
at all. It's all right. The programme's all in place. We're getting it.
Good. You don't look scared at all.
Luckily it's a podcast and not a video. No, it's all good. And then we'll do 2 more of them next year. And I think, assuming that does go well, and I can't see why it wouldn't, that's something again we could package up. And I think we had 13 people apply.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
it was for
good.
it was specifically for 18 to 25-year-olds, and we pushed it fairly hard, but it didn't take too much effort to get those people interested.
All people who'd been engaged with you before?
No. 3 or 4 of them were. 3 or 4 of them knew us, had been the youth rangers. One had volunteered with us. One's on our youth forum. So yeah, there is some connection, but some of the people we hadn't met. Some applied that clearly weren't quite ready, but I think it's all part of the process to make that application, and maybe in a year or 2's time they would be more ready for it.
Yeah.
So it's all part of their journey, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, and a big part of education actually is learning how to apply for things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a given, is it? When you're a young person writing these things, actually having a way to do that, and opportunities for doing that. You just got biffed by a paper aeroplane there. That was a good fire.
Shot.
Yeah,
that was good shot. Oh dear. But yeah, no. So I'm really excited about that. I've delivered similar program of traineeships when I was at Groundwork, but they were shorter, and you had less time with people to really sort of get them up and running, ready for work. But that we that was quite a rewarding thing to be part of. And this is 6 months, so I really think in that time you can help someone move on to employment, hopefully. And I talking to other partners, they're like, oh, that sounds great. We've done work experience, like I said, with Sixth Form College. That went down really well. Other people, Barnfield College, said, oh, can you do work experience for us? It's like, well, can't do it all the time, but we can maybe do a week. So I do think there is more interest in people using nature and outdoors, green spaces, to get young people ready for work. Not necessarily in conservation. Obviously, that's a great result if they do go on and get a job for us, for example.
Yeah.
And the council are always short of people to work in their parks team, so that would be great to direct people towards that. But it might be just they pick up skills and then they find work in something related, But yeah, there seems to be a lot of demand for that, and I think we can not necessarily fill that gap completely, but we can do more of it beyond this project.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like you were saying, about setting up things that go on without us. Obviously we hope we can continue to deliver these things, but the best outcome is that you empower communities to create and maintain those things themselves.
Yeah.
And in the same way, those traineeships, internships, work experience, they give people the skills to take those things away themselves as well. So it's sort of seeding things.
Well, I'm hoping that one
communities, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm hoping one of those trainees might actually then go on and lead this young people's regular session I'm talking about, like Nature Girls or whatever whatever it sort of evolves into in Luton, and it's that they can meet up every month on their own. And if they want us to drop in every few months to do a specialist talk or walk or whatever it is, they'd be great, but not necessarily have to be there all the time. And I'm actually meeting colleagues Ellen and Nicole that have done some great work on that sort of approach in Northants. They're coming down to see us in Luton in September.
That's what we call Team Wilder approach.
Yes, yeah. So and we've got certain staff that have been trained in that and funded to focus on that entirely, whereas we're a small team in Bedfordshire. Our work is mostly focused in Luton because of where the funding's at, and we cover quite a lot of ground. And although I think elements of what we do is the wilder community approach, it's not something we've been entirely able to focus on because of everything else we're doing. But I'm hoping that conversation will help stimulate that a bit more. Like I say, a year into this project, we'll carry on doing the 6 months to another 12 months, and then there'll be definitely a stage, probably spring next year, where we start going, right, we need to really reflect on where we're going from here, and what do we need to focus on, and who do we need to support to make this carry on, and things like that. But I'm confident in Luton that there's a great wealth of organisations that are into this sort of stuff nowadays. So we're part of the Luton Health and Nature Partnership, So you met Sam Willis earlier that works at the council, so he's very enthusiastic in the parks team. You've got one of our casual staff, Connie, that works in the orchards project. She does loads of stuff around the orchards at Luton. I mean, would you believe there's like 30 orchards in Luton apparently?
Wow,
So a lot of them are quite new. They're not the
still.
traditional mature ones, but yeah, she's mapped them all out. So we've been working with her to try and sustain that work. There's local artists that's absolutely fascinated by the River Lee, and she does lots of stuff to engage people around the Lee that we've been trying to support and work with. You've got other organisations like Natural England and Groundwork that are here, and we all come together at this partnership and try and share best practice, make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes and supporting each other. So I've got every confidence that this sort of thing will carry on in Luton, whether we're here or not. It'd be a bit arrogant to say that only the Trust can do it anyway, wouldn't it, really? Yeah. I mean, the other thing that we are doing, I think doing quite well, is empowering schools and teachers more, and actually trying to embed the importance of outdoor learning and green spaces in the curriculum as much as we can. Obviously, we can't do that with every school in Luton or anything, but hopefully, especially the secondaries, because there's only, there's not so many secondaries as there is primaries, and that will have a ripple effect.
Yeah, they see a lot of children there, don't they? So, it's going to touch somebody. You don't have to affect a huge percentage for that to have a big effect as it sort of branches out.
No, it's quite a powerful thing at that age. And we're also part of the North Chilterns Partnership, which is something that other colleagues are involved with, that sits with Natural England at Hexton. I don't know if you've heard of it at all, but so it's just outside of Luton, and I do feel that what we do in this project is a little bit of a pilot for a lot of things. So like this is how this, and you could then go to a partnership like that which covers a wider breadth of organisations and a wider geographical area. So it would take in Dunstable Downs, Pegston, so possibly even people that live in Hitchin, even though that's Hertfordshire. We're allowed to poach some people across to our site.
We all support each other as Trust,
exactly.
Don't we? People do travel across borders.
I don't think people in Hitchin really care which Trust it is if there's a nice event happening at Pegston, do they?
Yeah.
But the point being that I think what we are trialling here and doing can be rolled out in a broader way within the North Chilterns Partnership, which is something I'll be working on from a funding point of view and sustaining this work, because there's lots of people wider geographically, like Natural England and the Chilterns National Landscape, which was the Chilterns A and B, that cover a far broader area, but they're always saying we need to engage more people. Luton and Dunstable is the biggest urban area in our county. We should be getting more people involved in these sites that are across the Chilterns, not just in the town, which I think is a great aspiration. But at the moment, we need to focus on getting people just to come to the green spaces in their town, I think. Yeah, so I'd like to see this project evolve in maybe into that partnership. But who knows? In a year's time, we'll come back to that question, I think.
Yeah. What's the funding landscape looking like now? Is it hard to find the funding for these sorts of things? Or?
I mean, in Luton itself, there is quite a chunk of money. Lottery, and Heritage Lottery especially, focus a lot of money. They're like I think they're what do they call it? They're areas of interest or something, and Luton was benefited from that for 5 years, and they've stepped back a bit now. So, and also probably because some of the social deprivation and the different ethnicities you get in Luton attracts different pots of money. So it's a good place to pick up little pots here and there. But generally, there is going to be, it's not like it's on a tap, unfortunately.
No, and a lot of work goes into it. I think that's the thing that you don't necessarily realise from the outside, that actually, there's a lot of work has to go into finding the money for these things. People don't just give you money. You have to put a lot of work into proposals and evaluations and improving and all that kind of work. It's a lot.
And demonstrating the need and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I think it has changed. I mean, I've been in this sort of world for 20 odd years, and it has changed a lot. I think there's a lot, funders are a lot more picky, and rightly so. I guess there's one here called the Steel Charitable Trust in Luton, and the demand for their money has just gone through the roof. The amount of applications they get. So when they put the word out that they're actually got another round of funding, the criteria, I guess, has got a lot more strict to try and sort of make sure you just get people applying that are generally going to have a chance or do something really good with it, because otherwise they could be going through hundreds and hundreds of applications.
And do things that are going to last, like you're saying, that aren't just kind of starting and then stopping, I would imagine.
And that's been the refreshing change for me at the Trust. I've been talking to our team, within the community team and also within the fundraising team, the approach always seems to be about quality and not quantity, and also things that are lasting and bigger and make a huge difference. There's nothing wrong. I think, we have just recruited someone to look at smaller pots of money, so there is a place for smaller pots of money. But what I like about our trust, or the trust in general, is that we do want to focus more time on getting these bigger pots where we make a real sustained, longer term approach. And we've come back to Luton because it worked, and
there's a need.
And it takes that time to get those relationships. People come to us now. I don't mean loads of people, but we do actually have people, just random emails. So, do you want to do this at the school, or do you want to come and do this event, or can you lead a walk here? So obviously we still need to market ourselves and promote properly. But once you've been somewhere for 3 or 4 years and doing a consistent programme of work, then word gets around and becomes a bit easier.
We know that you, our discerning listeners, are enthusiastic about the wildlife in your local area, and maybe you're looking for more ways you can help. In 2025, we launched an ambitious 5-year plan to help boost nature's recovery in Beds, Cambs and Northants. Focusing on 3 critical areas, we've got plans to put nature into recovery, help communities take action for wildlife, and work on nature-based solutions for a changing climate. We're really proud of the work we do, all of which is evidence-based and makes a real difference for the wildlife and people in our area. But nature is still in decline and needs us to do more. We know what's required, and we're desperate to step up our work, but we can't do this without your help. Our Wilder Future Fund was launched to raise £1.5 million by 2028. Can you help us reach this target? Every penny you donate will go towards our work in Beds, Cambs and Northants, and really will make a difference. Let's step up for nature and live wilder together. Visit wildlifebcn.org/Wilder Future Fund. Thank you.
And how, if you're a parent, working in a school, perhaps you're a governor of some sort, or you're kind of trying to get your own school more nature aware.
Is that one of my staff, or is that a child?
I don't know. I think it might be. Maybe. No, it's a child.
That's good.
It's definitely a child. So if you're somebody who's looking to get more of this stuff for your child, but not just for your child, in a school, can you do that as a parent? Is there some way to...
to get us to go into their school?
Yeah, I guess so. Or to get the school to think more about that. Is there a sort of route for that?
It's a tricky one. I mean, I always have our education leaflets called Wilder Schools, and at events I'll have them at a community event, because I know often a parent will have that exact conversation. Or a couple of times I've met someone that is on the, what they call PTA, or I don't know what they're called nowadays, but got a bit of influence at the school, and they've taken that away and go, I'm going to have a word with the head about that. So schoolwork does come through many angles, many avenues. I think it's quite crucial you get the head on board, though. There's a Surrey Wildlife Trust have done a programme called Wilder Schools as well, and they kind of asked someone from the SLT team, the senior leadership team, to sign a contract to say we are committed to working with you in nature for 3 years, sort of thing. The contract doesn't actually mean anything, legally, really, but it's just a way of actually saying we're committed to this, and it's not going to be you're here for 6 months to have a nice session because that teacher's into it, and when that teacher leaves or when the funding runs out, that's it, all over. It's to show that there's a genuine commitment from the whole school to involve nature more or get children outside more, I guess.
That's interesting.
So I think that's the way to go if you can.
Yeah,
not
that
easy.
Is not easy, I would imagine, no, because, as we all are, but especially teachers and heads just seem to be so, their time is dictated to the minute, isn't it, in a school day? I mean, they're so busy.
But if you find one that has got that commitment, that interest, and it always comes down to that. It's like anything with the NHS, when we were talking to people about health and well-being and how nature can, do a lot of preventative work for people's mental health.
Prescribing nature.
Green social prescription, yes. But it's the same thing there. If you get a member of the team that actually spends their weekends walking or has volunteered for us or whatever and realises the benefits of being in nature, nature, they are going to be more likely to then be talking to you and getting people referred to you. Whereas if the staff at the school or the doctor's surgery or the NHS or whatever don't quite have that passion and enthusiasm, it's a harder sell to explain, because I think what we do is quite subtle. It's quite hard to get the message across. Like for me, I know that being, like I was talked about earlier, I know that being outside, enjoying a view and doing some repetitive work is good for my mental, physical health, all sorts of things. But I've been doing this for 20 years. Trying to get that across to someone that's never cut scrub down.
Trying to convince them.
Or bother to walk up a hill, that it's great to spend half a day doing work in the dark, in the wet possibly, or the weather, you know. They're like, what? You sure?
Yeah. And also, I guess it's hard to measure that. So it's not like you can go at the end of the session and say, well, it's had this tangible benefit immediately on the children or on the staff or whoever. It's hard, not impossible, but it's hard to show that as a sort of,
it's hard to show it until it happens. I think it's hard to show it until it happens.
Yes.
Once it happens, you'll see generally the kids are full of enthusiasm, and the feedback we get of teachers is like, you know, really positive, you know, and like, oh, the kids seem to really love this. But yeah, it's how do you get that across before and get a school to maybe put their hands in the pocket and pay for you to go there, because obviously we can't do everything for free, funding or not. So it's an interesting one. But yeah, I have met some people at sixth form college. So there's a lady in charge of, I think they call it enrichment nowadays, which is quite good. So it's student enrichment. It's things like Duke of Edinburgh Award, anything that gets students out of lesson time to do something for the community or whatever. And she's dead keen. So that's a really good relationship that's hopefully leading places.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's often down to those personal contacts that you get and meeting the right person.
So parents can make a difference, because if they have some influence in the school, it might just encourage a head to seek out something like that and to think, oh, actually that might be get in touch with something that they wouldn't necessarily have considered before. So you never know. It all helps, I suppose.
Oh, definitely. We have had parents that have come to our sessions that have gone and put us in touch with their school, like I say. So the volunteer that's here today, Catherine, she worked at Summer's primary school. She doesn't anymore, but she volunteered with us because she believes in the sort of thing that we do. She's got 2 kids. She wants to raise them, you know, spending more time in nature, etc. And she then said, oh, our head teacher wants to talk to you about the grounds. So through that, we were invited to Summer's, and we had done my usual thing where I go around and saying, oh, you could plant this here or leave that grass to grow along there. To be fair, they were already doing quite a lot of good stuff, and I think that's because you had someone like Catherine there. And then we'd done a couple of assemblies about 30 Days Wild and stuff. So that was the start of a nice little partnership. Shows what one person can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And when you get schools' grounds, I mean, it's not just about making the grounds better for nature, although obviously that is a really good part of it. I guess you can get the students involved in that too.
Yes, yeah, and that's very very much my expertise. Because in the past I worked with some challenging younger people that were, I guess, neat, not in educational training or unemployed and couldn't find work. And we use landscaping and gardening to try and engage them. So I've kind of always enjoyed that side of things. So we've got one school, Cardinal Newman, that when you drove in down the A6, you would have almost gone past it. It's right in front of Warden Hill. So it's a great location. We went in and done some forest school sessions just after COVID, this was. And it was part of the first project, Wilder Futures, and this was all decided before I joined, actually. But 3 schools got forest school sessions to try and help kids sort of get back after COVID and deal with those difficulties of re-engaging with other kids and stuff. And that went quite well. So I think the head or someone then approached us and said, oh, we've got a unit called Don Bosco, which is for kids that are struggling in the classroom at the risk of expulsion. And I mean, you could say they're the naughty kids, but I don't really like that term. It's just kids that probably don't fit into a classroom environment. Can you come in and do something with them? And that was almost 3 years ago now. We've been going in every Monday since, virtually.
Wow. Yeah.
And working with these kids, and every half term 6 of them will be put into this unit, and they spend a half term in that unit. Unit sounds like another terrible word, doesn't it? But it's a really nice setup. It's separate from the main school, and they get a bit more attention from teachers, attention they probably need, and they get to try out different things. And on a Monday morning we go in and do nature-based stuff, and we have, getting back to your point, literally created 2 new garden areas for them with those students, and it's all about pollinator-friendly plants, bug hotels. Haven't been able to put any water in because that's a bit of a health and safety risk. But yes, we've created 2 new areas of planting, and the students have had a chance to partake in that, use tools. We make bird boxes with them. That tends to go down really well. Use a power drill. It's always quite fun to watch because the lads always think they've got it sussed, and it's the girls that are just a bit more slow and steady that create this perfect box, while the lads are just messing around with what they think is a laser gun or something.
Yeah.
It's all good fun, as long as they're enjoying themselves safely.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, it's safe. But yeah, and then we always finish off those 6 weeks, or whatever the half term is. It's normally about 6 weeks, 6 sessions with a walk up Walden Hill. And again, some of them have been up there, but it's right on the edge of their doorstep, right where the school is. And the school don't take them up there. I mean, the only time they ever go up there, I think, is when GCSEs or A-levels finish, and they all go up there and celebrate and do whatever they do at the top of the hill at that age, Don't ask.
No, don't ask. I think that's the...
But enjoying the sight and the views. So it's nice to
yeah.
get them up there and talk about the badgers that live there and all the wildflowers that grow on Walden Hill. It's a triple SI. It's an amazing site. Yes, I really enjoy those sessions, and that's one school, and we are going in. Yes, we've done that also at Chiltern Academy. They've created a new garden area, and we've gone in once a month and made sure half of that is set aside for nature, planted, all the plants that bees and insects love. Meadow area.
It must give them such a sense of, well, I don't know. I imagine it gives them such a sense of sort of ownership and pride. However that's expressed in teenagers, of the fact that they're contributing towards something that's actually there that all the other students can see as well. I mean, do you get a sense of that at all?
At Chiltern Academy I did, because it's their garden club and you get the kids that want to be there. And the first session there was about 8 to 10. And I think they go out there other days, it's not just with us, we go in once a month. But then we went back a month later, it was about close to 20, which was like really hard to manage, but great to see so many kids go, what do you do? I was like, hold on, we've only got an hour. So there it's really good. And what struck me with that school, the first session, was it was towards the end of the day, so the bell had already rung for end of school, but 2 or 3 lads came over and they were just watching what we were doing, and they were just like, can I have a go then? And I didn't have to, and they should have been going home really, but I just loved the fact they looked at it and saw that it was something, I don't know, they must have seen something that appealed to them, and they wanted to plant a couple of bushes, whatever it was we were doing, pyracantha along the fence line. So I thought that was great, and I think, like you say, we said earlier, unless you see it, if you don't know it's there, you don't know you're going to enjoy it.
Yes.
So sometimes it literally takes another group or us to be there doing it before someone goes, I think I might quite like that as well, actually.
Yeah.
And at Cardinal Newman, those other students are a bit more challenging, so you are going to get less of this is amazing, but you definitely see some pride in, like, they've done a bird box on their own. Or the bug hotel was one of them, was really cool bug hotel, and we sort of stuck it into this wild planting area. And all the school can see that now. And I think it's really important, because a lot of the time they've been through the system, they've been told to sit still, be quiet, don't say that, right, go to Don Bosco, you're too naughty for the classroom, sort of thing. So I'm hoping that it builds a bit of self-esteem for them, and that's great. There's some lads there, there's a couple of them that every time I see them still, they walk past, they might not be going to that unit, but they walk past, all right, Matt, how you doing? And you get this, and can I come and join your sessions? You're like, no, you've had your turn.
Yeah.
But inside I'm glowing, do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, exactly, yeah, because they could be shouting anything at you once they know your name.
I've had that as well, but yeah.
I bet, yeah.
You remember the good ones.
Yes. Yeah, and another big part of what you do for Wilder Luton is events then, is that right? So running things for other people, not just in schools or kind of...
Yeah, public events. wilder futures, we tried to organise. We spent more time organising our own, like in the summer, this time of year. I remember doing one at Stopsley Common, and we had a reasonable turnout, 30, 40 people. But with Wild and Luton, we're focusing in more probably on going to events that are already happening and then offering something there. So 2 weeks ago, I think it was on a Saturday, they had a River Lee celebration event that was actually organised by Groundwork, a different charity. But like I say, because we've got this partnership and we all work quite closely in Luton, we were there with other organisations and had a stall, and we did a whole load of stuff about dragonflies, because it was supposed to be about water and rivers, and you can make a dragonfly, learn about dragonflies, and we met about 50 different people that day. And I think that's a really good way of meeting more people, and especially more people that might not already be turned on to the whole nature connection thing, than necessarily running your own events. I'm not saying you shouldn't run your own events, but that's worked better for us to reach a new audience. And then the week before that, there was actually a youth fest that was organised by the local authority, the local youth service, I guess. Unfortunately, it rained a bit, but again, that was a great way of meeting young people, as opposed to us trying to set up our own event and saying, why would young people think of the Wildlife Trust as a youth thing when the whole youth service was there organising an event? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's those sort of events which are what we'd call outreach, I guess, that have worked well for us in Luton. And we always get lots of cards signed, which people then can join our e-news and possibly become members, obviously, for the trust. That's great. And
what other sorts of events do you put on through the year that people can look out for if they're in the area?
I am just finalising dates for like a few different heritage-based activities. So part of the funding, what they call the approved purposes of the funding, much of it is about engaging young people, but one of the other elements was bringing back, I guess, skills, or giving people a chance to learn about skills that might be lost or forgotten, shall we say. So hedge laying's one of them. Yeah,
and hedge laying is where you cut a hedge down to thicken it up.
Yes, so you don't almost kill it, but you cut into each piece, into each tree that's within the hedge about 2/3 of the way, and then the remaining third you kind of fold over, and then you bind it along the top. And then, like you say, that cutting process sort of generates new growth that thickens it up, and it was an old way of basically keeping your stock in. So before we had fences, you'd have hedge laying.
So a very traditional skill.
It's great fun as well, yeah.
I've seen the results of it. I'd love to have a go one day. But
so we're going to do that again at a place called Brammenham in November, and then we've got a local chap I've met that's a green woodworker. And he's just moved back to Luton. He's based at some workshops that the Green Sand Trust have, and then he's going to do the second workshop about wood carving. So before we made butter knives, not sure what we're going to do this time around. I haven't finalised it, but that sort of thing proves quite popular as well, I think. It's very tactile, something you can do with your hands.
And you were talking earlier about having a presence in the town centre. So that's something that's an aspiration. Yeah,
so that ties in with the sort of nature of the population in Luton. I guess it's all generally speaking, but there is a lot of new people that come in. Some of the students I took out from Barnfield College were actually students that were learning English because they came in as refugees only a year or two ago. Some young men, so that was who we took up the hill I was talking about earlier. So you do get a lot of people come through that are new to town, and if you're new to a country, never mind new to a town, your first thought isn't necessarily, all right, where's the nature reserves? I want to get down to see that. You're probably thinking, where am I going to live and how. So by being in a town, if we can set up some kind of town centre location, I think we can bring that nature to people and actually say, by the way, when you are a bit more settled, or for people that have lived here for ages, there's no exclusive open door policy or whatever to that centre. It could be open to anyone, but don't forget these places are all here on the edges of your town and in your town. So we're trying. I haven't actually any luck getting a shop front yet, but we are talking to an organisation called Culture Trust, and they've got some space in town which is quite central, and they're willing to let us put a bit of an exhibition up. So this probably won't happen until next year now, and maybe the Easter holidays. And so we'll be like right in the heart of the town where lots of people come and go, and families like you've seen today can walk into that exhibition space, learn a bit about the natural history of Luton, but we'll have activities going on like crafts, maybe contributing to some communal artwork that's all based around the chalk hills. And then while they're there, we can say, oh, did you know we run clubs at Waldown Park? Did you know there's trails you can follow at Bradgers Hill? It's all signposted for you. Did you know there's Penrose routes that do therapeutic guide? So it's just a better way of hopefully reaching more people by taking it to the town centre.
Yeah.
It's been done really nicely elsewhere, and I'm hoping by the end of this project we'd have done it in Luton as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking time to explain about all the amazing work you're doing here. And it's nice to actually come to Luton. I haven't been here very much myself, but yeah, it's been a lovely place to sit and have a conversation. Huge thanks to Matt for taking the time to chat to us about the varied and important work we're doing to try and get young people involved in their local green spaces and in wilding communities in a way that helps the people and the wildlife that lives alongside us. It's a difficult funding landscape to run events, and working with emerging adults is always challenging given the other pressures on their time and social landscapes. But with time and consistent effort, the results of connecting with these young people can be hugely rewarding, for them and for us. This kind of work is going on all around our 3 counties, with communities and education teams running events and connecting with schools, enabling our youth ranger groups and much more. Do explore our website at wildlifebcn.org/events to find something going on near you. As ever, I extend a huge thank you to James Williams and Jared Wentwick for the podcast music. If you've enjoyed this episode, do like, subscribe and share with your friends and family, who can listen wherever they get their podcasts just by searching for In Conservation. And finally, let us know what you thought of this episode by dropping us a line from the website or contacting us on social media at WildlifeBCN. But for now, cheerio!